do with impeding, guys. So if we think there's been a significant impedance which is due to somebody not paying enough attention, or it's dangerous and or intention, or we think it may be intentional. Obviously, we don't know if it's intentional until we have a closer look at it after the race. But before we were trying to prevent, we were going to say you can't compete in qualifying for this set amount of time. It's not really a workable solution. So we're changing that to you won't be able to, if we think something serious has happened, you won't be able to compete in qualifying for the rest of qualifying. Your current laps will still stand. And if you do go out after you've had that message, then you'll get a drive-through penalty at the race, or if we have a safety car, it'll be a drop to back. So you'll get a drive-through penalty in the race if you go out in qualifying after we've said you are no longer allowed to do that. That's the only change to qualifying conduct. And then the main briefing notes are you're expected to go near full speed in turns 1 and 2, which is the first chicane, and turns 5 and 6, which is the second chicane. You can't be going slow in those corners because obviously they're sort of fast, and if you're slow and someone is approaching fast, they might not realise it until a little bit too late. Then turn 9, which is a super quick left-hander at the top of the hill. Well, super quick in these cars at the top of the hill, which is a little bit blind for some people, depending on where you're positioned in your car. So you can't go slow there. The rest of our little 11, 12, 13 complex, if you're completely offline and there's nobody coming, we're fine with you going slow to get your tyres in the right range. But you need to be offline if you're doing that, which is completely fine. Turn 14, 15 chicane, we want you to be sort of up to, close to top speed in there, just because, again, if you're tootling through there and somebody comes at full speed, it's not going to end well. And then the slow moving cars may not overtake the zone for this race is after turn 15. So you're allowed to go slow on the inside. We're going to say the inside line from turn 15 to turn 17, which is the second to last corner, before the two left-handers at the end of the straight. But you're not allowed to overtake anywhere after there if you're too slow. Like if you're slow moving cars, if you're both prepping for a lap, you're not allowed to overtake. If you're on your out lap, somebody else is on an in lap, then you can, but you need to make sure you absolutely don't get in the way of anybody else. So thanks for that, guys. I'll, as usual, pop the briefing notes all into the W12 series channels, so you can all read them if you want. It comes up as one of those little downloadable things because it's too big for Discord to let me post it. But thanks for all joining. Hope everyone has a good race. Good luck, guys.
Hello everyone, my name is Edward, alongside me is Bigos, and we're here at the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari. We have just listened to the driver's briefing where we have understood what is good and what is not for the drivers to do in this race. The Imola circuit is a 4.9 kilometers racing circuit in the town of Imola in the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy. And we've seen a race here in Formula 1 in 2020 and also in 2021 in the recent history. I'm joined, as I've mentioned, by Biggles and also by Jared. How are you guys?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I think Biggles has just had to run off to quickly do something before he settles down to the race. So we're going to start taking a look at free practice at the minute. Once I can get the overlay working properly. There we go. Okay, so we've got a fairly known grid today. You know, we've seen these guys before. I don't think we've got any new people. Maybe one new person. So yeah, this is going to be interesting to see some of these guys today on this rather complex and difficult track. A lot of the corners have blind apexes, you know, blind turning points. And in these cars, those corners come to you very, very quickly. I did happen to do a couple of laps before this race, just to check that out, so that I could talk to you about it.
Yeah, as you've mentioned, it's a pretty hard track, and we've seen that also in real life with, you know, in very sad moments that I don't really want to mention right now. I don't think it's the best moment. But anyways, it's an interesting track, and we've seen that also in Formula 1 last year. We've had a pretty good race. Obviously, that was a rainy one, but it was nonetheless interesting. Anyways, it's very good to see that we're having a familiar grid.
Guys,
all the big names are here. I'm not really sure if Luca Wunsch is actually racing.
And then I'm just going to pop the safety car out.
I realised everyone can currently hear race control. I'm just going to quickly turn that off for you. Apologies for that one on the stream. Right, Ed, you might want to say that one again, as you were a bit cut off by race control trying to make some commands over radio then.
Yeah, I've asked if Luca Wunsch is in the session, if he's racing or not.
His name's not in my list, but as, you know, last time he did turn up late. Actually, did he turn up last time at all?
No, he didn't, that's why I'm asking.
No, okay, so he's not here in this list, but we're currently watching Alex Aguirre, who... is another one of our fast boys, and obviously Mark Stevens at the top of the timesheets there with 114.4, who had a fabulous race last session. So I'm wondering if Mr. Wunsch will make himself known after taking a break for a race.
I think the German driver is angry after what happened at the Red Bull Ring, where he led for most of the race and then he collided with a lapped car, which made him obviously lose the win and also a place in the top 10. And, you know, it's a real shame to see Luca going, because he has been a very popular driver in the Anti-Star Racing Championship, not only here, but also in the other leagues that were running, you know, and he was super fast. He was always in the lead at the top. And, you know, in every sport, in every racing league, it's that one guy that everyone knows that he's super fast. That one guy that everyone knows when he's joining the league or whatever he's joining, they know that it's game over and they just wish that he's not racing. Well, he got angry after that incident, and looks like the wish has come true for most of these drivers, because he's not anymore here, which is a shame to see. He won the first 3 races of the season and he was super fast. Anyways, as you've mentioned, we're now watching Mark Stevens, another incredibly fast driver. He has won the last race after starting in 14th place. And we've talked to him after the race, and he has told us that he doesn't want, or, well, he never wanted to qualify in the top, because he did not want to compete for the championship. He did not want to make, you know, to destroy the things at the top of the championship. But right now, he's very close to the lead of the championship, and he also won the last race. So maybe we'll see him actually taking part in the qualifying.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he does actually go for it this time, or if he's going to try and do something from the back again.
G'day, gentlemen. Hello. Sorry, I'm back.
Excellent, Biggles. This is Biggles, everyone.
Yes, I am the Biggles, the one and only. Here in Imola.
Yes, we are in Imola.
I do like pineapple on my pizza as well, so there you go. I'm sure the locals don't really appreciate that too much, certainly not in Italy. You get probably thrown out the door. But at the moment, it's very hard for me to see who the driver we're currently looking at.
Radecki Gregors, if
No,
I said that correctly.
I'm not gonna say his name again.
Radecki. I like that.
Yeah, you were calling him the Red Star, so.
The Red Star, yeah. From last week. As he's currently throwing that car around, well, Piratella, I think it is, turn 8.
I think we just lost the racing client. So if you give us a quick second, I'm just going to try and get that back up again. I do apologise.
Radecki has
Game
finished on the
launch
podium
detected.
twice this season, and he still did not take part in any interview. And I still want to ask him how is his name pronounced. So we apologize for the problems that we're having right now. I think we'll be coming back as soon as possible. Anyways, Bills, how are you?
I'm good. Definitely. It's good to be back racing again on the Mondays. I'm certainly looking forward to it. It's fantastic cars. A real car simulator, obviously, as we know, a real Formula One simulator.
Yeah, and I'm really curious. I talked at the start of the stream about a Formula One race, and I'm really curious if we will see something in the same note. Obviously, that was a rainy race, but also in 2020, we have seen a race on a dry track, but, it was pretty controversial with Max Verstappen having a puncture, Valtteri Bottas, I think, had some damage, and that was Lewis Hamilton getting pretty much a free win.
Yeah, it seems like a while now, doesn't it, with all the F1 races that they had, and obviously more of it again this year with, 3 of the tracks that we didn't get a chance to visit last year. Here in, I think 3 or 4. Because, we'll go back to Albert Park, obviously, hopefully. We still don't, obviously, pending the situation with the old Alfred Corona. Canada, it'll be good to be back there. Where else? Japan, as we're seeing, who's that? So that's Steve going into the fence a little bit there. And then back into the pit lane and back out on track again pretty quickly as well. That's a massively well done repair job for the team.
I think we're working again. Apologies about that one. iRacing decided to say no for a few minutes.
Oh, Mark Stevens, the winner from last week, is having a moment. He has gone wide and collided with the wall, but yeah, in iRacing, this doesn't mean anything because you can just press a button and then you're back in the pit lane.
Unless it's during the race, of course, in which case you're going to get incident points, which rack up pretty quick into penalties, and also positions can gain damage. The damage model on iRacing is particularly punishing in these cars.
Yeah, could you explain that a little bit more in depth for some of the noobs out there like myself?
Yeah, sure. So, you can get damage on pretty much all parts of the car in iRacing, so all aero and also suspension. So, even something down to a slight touch of a wall could knock one of your wheels slightly out of alignment, or knock off, half your front wing, and just destabilize the car. I'm not quite sure really how realistic it is, because obviously none of us have ever driven these sort of cars. But yeah, it certainly makes them a bit of a handful once you have acquired a little bit of damage.
Gerard, you have said that you have driven the car right before the practice session. I'm curious, how was the feeling of the car on this track?
I mean, it's a difficult track in my opinion. I'm not personally a huge fan of driving this track in a car so fast, because a lot of the apexes are all hidden. They come up to you extremely fast in these cars. But the car itself feels amazing. It feels really, really stable. You can brake super, super late in comparison to other cars for most corners here. And yeah, it does feel great. It's just the track itself, I think, is the challenging aspect of this particular race.
You mind going on board with one of the drivers, perhaps the driver we're looking at the moment? I'd like to see from his cockpit view, or T-cam, how it does feel with those elevation changes that you mentioned there. As this sweeping his way around these corners at the moment. There you can see those bumps as well, what they call them, the sleeping policeman or something like that. You go over them, it's going to do a bit of damage to the under floor. Jesus, quite sweeping through that corner, isn't it? Feels like really good. I think that's turn 9 and 10 if I'm not mistaken.
Those are Variante Alta, actually, turns 14 and 15. And that's a pretty hard corner. We've also seen in real life Yuki Tsunoda crashing there in qualifying, so we might keep an eye on there. We've also had the hard corner last week in Catalonia with a lot of drivers crashing in turn 10. Was that Bigos?
Turn 12, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, it seems like an eternity ago. I think you're right. Somewhere around that. The one that's not a lot of people usually crash.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you mentioned that one. I've been racing that all week since that race. I've been racing Catalonia in the F3 cars, and it's an interesting corner, that particular corner, because it's uphill towards an uphill apex, which means you are unloading your entire car when you release the brakes to turn into it, which means you're also losing an absolute ton of aero, which is why the rear ends were flicking out, I think.
That would make sense. You can see the little, that's what I love about it too. Oh, there's a car off and just ahead of the driver that we're on board with. But you can see the elevation change as well too in this track. I mean, sorry, the banking. There's slight bits of banking in some of these corners, which I've never noticed before. With the F1 game, obviously iRacing is laser scan the track, so they've got it 10 times more accurate. And just to go with that other question you said before as well, too, about the damage. So can they do repairs in the pits for some of the repairs?
Yes, absolutely. If you have a crash on track, you have a choice. You either tow to the pit or you can drive to the pit. Obviously, towing to the pit will have a little bit of extra time incurred, depending on how close you are to the pit lane. Or driving back to the pit generally is the quicker choice if you can do it. Once you get in the pit, you'll have two timers. You'll have required repairs, which are the repairs that you need to do for your car to function, and you'll also have optional repairs, which will be the repairs that will basically make your car easier to drive. Quite often those optional repairs are stuff to do with like steering alignment or aero, and generally it's a good idea to take the lot, because otherwise you're just going to get swamped by everybody else around you. Yeah, typically they're around 30 seconds to a minute per repair. Depends on how much damage you've had, and very occasionally you can actually completely total the car and your pit crew can tell you that your car isn't repairable.
Yeah, I'd imagine like a rear wing and stuff like that. That's generally the cases that you can't fix, like in the real F1.
From my experience on iRacing, I've never totaled one of these cars, but from my experience with other cars, it's generally rear axles. If you break your rear axle, then your car's usually done.
Yep, so the towing here in iRacing is probably the most unrealistic thing in this game. Because here with the Formula 1 cars, it's pretty much all real, but I'm putting up for debate, should the towing be disabled with the Formula 1 cars? And I'm also asking the viewers this question, because it's a very interesting one. I mean, I've just watched, I think it was on Saturday and Sunday, the virtual 24 Hours of Le Mans, which was a pretty big race, only the second time they were running it, and also the Formula 1 World Champion Max Verstappen took part in it. And, you know, in that I can understand the towing, it's a very important thing, but here with the Formula 1 cars, that's pretty unrealistic.
Well, yeah, because in reality, of course, if someone had to tow a car, it'd either be under safety car or it'd be during a red flag. So, yeah, I do see what you mean there. And also, there's no repairs. You know, if you smash your car to pieces, then usually you're retired from the race.
Yeah, but because it's the virtual world, I think it's good to, obviously at the end of the day, you want to keep drivers kind of in it a little bit as well. Because it's a virtual world. You just can't do that, obviously, in the real world scenario.
Yeah, but
then again, the real world are the best drivers in the world too, so they generally don't make that many mistakes.
this virtual world has just gone to another level.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like in this time, like as I've mentioned, I watched the race on Saturday and Sunday, the 24 hours, and the amount of effort that everyone put in that race was incredible. And you've had some very big names from Max Verstappen to Jarno Opmer, who was the Formula One esports 2 times world champion, if I'm not wrong, and Nicky Thiem for Porsche, and a lot of big names, and also the organizing was perfect. To go 24 hours with a perfect race, that's incredible.
Yeah. When speaking of Jarno as well, I mean, he's even making his way into iRacing more and more as well. I see that on his Twitch streaming and stuff, because I think he's getting a little bit annoyed with the game. And as far as I can see, he's pretty quick in these cars that he likes, obviously, driving, the W12s. And he's, what I've seen, I don't want a comparison to if they're doing open lobbies and stuff like that, but he's up at the top of the timesheet. So perhaps we could be seeing Jarno switch over to serious competitive iRacing, with these cars, and be the best in the world in that as well. Not to mention, there was a F2 driver recently, the virtual one that's getting an actual drive, a real drive.
Yeah, that's just what I wanted to mention. Chembo Lugbashi.
Yeah.
I think we've just gone over to qualifying. So, qualifying 20 minutes of open qualifying for all the cars on the track. How many have we got today? Got 12 cars? Yeah, 12 cars on today's track. Mark Stevens being the first driver out. Looks like he might actually try and qualify today and get right at the front.
So 20-minute qualifying session starts now. And yeah, as you're saying about the F2 driver, I mean, that's I think that's what you're saying about how serious and how competitive that esports is now, that when drivers that are good in the esports can actually be as good, if not better, in the real cars. And he's not the only one. There's been a few.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how Chem will perform in Formula 2, because obviously being good in iRacing, that's an important message that you are sending to the teams in the real world. But being good in Formula 2, in the Formula 1 game, I don't really know, because that game is not as realistic as the actual sims, because obviously the Formula 1 game and the Formula 1 franchise is an arcade one rather than a simulator one.
Was it the actual F2 in the F1 game, or was he an F2 simulator with iRacing or something like that, or ACC or AC? I'm not sure. I didn't look that far into the article. If anybody's tuned in to the YouTube world out there, let us know if you do know any information. Because I couldn't imagine just the F2 game from the F1. I mean, it just, to me, once again, it's too arcadey. It'd have to be a real simulator.
Yeah, I remember that Shem has actually raced with some BMWs in GT series, but I'm not really sure how he performed there because I haven't checked the results. But probably if he's in Formula 1, in Formula 2, he performed well in those competitions, I believe.
So we're getting the first sector times coming through now. We're getting Mark Stevens did purple first sector and second sector, quickly to be stolen by Alex Aguirre, who has purpled first and second sector now. So we're currently watching Mark Stevens, and he's gone off the track. Gonna go quickly flick to Alex to see if he can continue setting purples around the track. I mean, he will, because he's now the lead car. But will anybody steal it from him by the end of the lap?
Doesn't look like at the moment, because it doesn't look like anybody else is getting it purple. It was just Mark, and Mark once again making another error during qualifying and that pressure. And it's early days, still plenty of time. The track will evolve. That's what I think we went through that last week, didn't we? It does improve as it rubbers down. And this is going to be definitely. Alex will get this first provisional pole of the day. It looks like somebody else might have stole the purple away back there. But
yeah, Joe
what's the first
Taberner.
time in?
So Joe Taberner, 3 green sectors, 1 purple one. How will he handle up? Is he going to be faster than Alex? Doesn't look like it.
Some telemetry bugs going on. Give me 1 moment to sort those out. There we go. Now there's a new number on my telemetry that may have been included in update here. There's a number 1 next to the time. It's just appeared there. I'm wondering what that number means. If any of you can figure that out.
I can't see it properly, unfortunately.
There isn't one currently, but I'll point it out again when it pops up.
So we've seen Mark Stevens doing a mistake, and we also know that he haven't took part in any of the qualifying sessions this season. I'm wondering if the pressure got up to him or if it's just a mistake.
Maybe just the pressure. His the Hans, the Dutch driver, I think he's Dutch. No, was he Belgian or something like that? But anyway,
He's Dutch.
Yeah, Skog. Can you pronounce that? Please, I'm just horrible with some of these names.
Skogel.
Yeah, Skogel. Yeah, there he is. Obviously, you can see he's got a purple sector in there. First sector might have been letting him down a little bit. Personal best for the third. How many sectors do we have here? There's 4? 4? Am I not mistaken? How many sectors am I seeing? Where it's just they are segmented.
5 sectors by the look of it. Yeah.
5 sectors. Okay, that's interesting. I've worked with 5 sectors before, but that's even more information. That's good.
And I believe they're all visible on the track map as well, where those red dots are.
Ah, yes. Good catch.
Alex Aguirre, purple in sector 1, sector 2 again. Oh, good save though, especially in gravel.
He's
Mark Stevens second.
Paul Ricard. No gravel there. Yeah, Mark goes at second, exactly as you said. So I think he got the time he wanted. Well, he just got one in the banker, but not the purples that he was originally setting. But then again, we can't put that in comparison to anybody else because there was nobody here. He was one of the first ones to cross the line. But just over 1/10 off Alex's time at the moment. It's going to be pretty good. We'll back out for another outlap too for the drivers. So as you can see, the track's pretty busy. Nobody's sitting in the pits wasting Jeffrey's time. Just straight out on the track.
Yeah, and this was the battle last week. Alex Aguirre and Mark Stevens. Obviously, Mark Stevens has done an incredible recovery, but also Alex Aguirre, he has started third, if I'm not wrong, and he led most of the race until Mark Stevens have overtook him on new tires. And we're seeing the battle is the same.
But there's something big that I've just noticed here. Alex Aguirre is on softs, whereas Mark Stevens is on mediums by those times.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if it's a way for that telemetry to show it up there, like in the F1, so we get an idea of the tires. But anyway, I guess to know that's by visually seeing the car, or maybe you get some additional telemetry information. I'm just curious too, as well, why the driver in P5, and that name I'm going to have a bit of trouble pronouncing, is showing it's just 7,000ths of a second off. I guess that's Steve's pace there in P4. Why the timings like that?
Trying to figure things out.
And then does that mean that Lee is in P6 is then 1 second and change slower than the P? Has to be, obviously, because that's the positions that they're in. I guess that's how that telemetry is displaying it. The drivers obviously know the times that they're doing. And the positions, they're the positions that they are. Currently, there it is. So that looks spot on right there. So it's a 3-way battle at the moment. And we saw that, didn't we, last week? The qualifying pace.
Joe Taberner has been a little bit under the radar today. He's very close, only 1/10 of pole position. He might put his name up for the battle for the win here at Imola. But again, if Mark Stevens does such a good time on the medium tires, you gotta wonder what he can do with the softs.
I'm sure he probably might slap them on. Because as we do know in this game, the tyres aren't as punishing as they are in the, say, the virtual F1 game. The tires, well, obviously because it's more realistic. They, just like regular F1 cars, they're not.
Oh, he's gone fastest. Biggles, Mark Stevens is fastest now.
Yep, he got it. That's what he wanted.
I wonder if that was on mediums. Because if that was on the medium tires, then I feel like it's game over again.
I can tell you. Yeah, it was on mediums.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
But what's the delta time between the mediums and the softs? Is it a big difference?
I can probably get some of that telemetry up for you right now, actually. Let's see if this thing... Because we're in qualifying, unfortunately I can't. But once we get into the main race, we'll be able to look at some comparisons like that.
But Biggles, we've seen the same thing last week. Mark Stevens was on all the mediums and he was faster than the guys who has just boxed for fresh mediums.
Probably just a little bit better on the tires, it seems, at the end of the day, than some of the other drivers. And that occurs with any simulation. Some people are just a little bit less punishing. Maybe they're not running over those chicanes as much and not probably putting the power down or upshifting.
I don't know.
Let's say quicker or something, so you get a little bit less, spin up on your rears.
Ooh.
Oh, talking about a spin, where's seeing a spin now?
That was Jasper Smelt giving us a bit of twirly action there. Yet to set a time, unfortunately.
He was close to spinning the pit lane. Yeah, anyways, Biggles, I kind of want to disagree with what you've said. Obviously, Mark Stevens probably is less punching on tires, but he's totally fast, and I think that's the main reason why he was faster than the guys with fresh mediums. Because he's just absolutely fast, and we're also seeing the same thing now. With the mediums, he's in pole position.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's we'll find out. Basically, consistently do it over a season. A couple of drivers behind this, say, Ferrari. Oh, wow, there's a car spun in the wrong direction and he had to take avoiding. That's a head-on. Oh, they do test the cars, don't they, for accidents, but that'd be full-on head-on. Good. I was about to say there for the Ferrari driver, while driving that red livery, is he had to take evasion of actions, but now he's going off the track, I think, as he's probably has to calm his heart down at the moment. It's probably pumping at a bazillion miles an hour.
Joe Taberner has gone second. So Alex Igwe is now down in third place.
Still the top three. This is separated by 1/10.
Is there 1,000 of a second between Mark Stevens and Joe Taberner?
Yeah, just under
7,000, isn't it?
Oh, right. So yeah, sorry. It is
1/10 almost.
Yeah, nearly a tenth.
Oh, okay. So the gap is not big.
Yeah, sorry, good.
No, I just wanted to say the fact that the gap is not big, but when you are thinking that Mark has set that time on the mediums.
Alex Aguirre going purple in Sector 2 there. And then green in Sector 4. I wonder if he can push out just an extra tenth, because that's all he needs right now.
It's going to come down to the straight line speed for these important sectors.
Right now, purple's last sector as well. And he goes P1 with a 114.3. So that's 0.2 faster than Mark Stevens. Unfortunately, he did do that on the softs again, though. So Mark Stevens still on the mediums, 0.2 slower.
Joe Taberner, purple. Mark Stevens, purple. So Joe Taberner has gone purple in the fourth sector. Green in the fifth one. Let's see if he will improve. Can he go at least second?
I don't think Joe's going to do this one. No, he obviously had an issue there. And Mark Stevens also going back into pit.
Someone is going purple.
Jasper Smelt, where is he? Hasn't set a lap yet.
Hasn't set a time. Yeah, exactly. So he's coming straight out with...
He's 3 seconds ahead of his previous lap time. He's ahead on his delta quite far. Then again, so's Troy Banks, who's 5 seconds ahead of his previous lap time as well. Currently. And I think Jasper invalidated on that corner that we saw him go a little wide on.
Yeah, he seems very fast, but we've also seen him spinning a couple of minutes ago, and now his lap is invalidated, so I think he should just, you know, take a moment, take a breath, then go back and set a good lap, because he's fast, and he's proved that.
Yeah, I think he was, I'm not quite sure if that telemetry was actually showing that he was set for almost an identical provisional pole time from Alex. So you've still got that three-way battle up the top. That three-way battle, as I said, they're all just within basically a tenth or so. Alex has just gained a little bit more time now, a 2/10 gap. As we're getting down to the business end with just shy of more than 5 minutes left of the qualifying session. And we do know around here it's at 1:14. Going to do your out lap and then your flying lap. And of course, you can just park the car and go back to the pits quickly. So that's, yeah, at least you got to have at least 3 minutes up your sleeve. Troy Banks is going purple at sector 4. So that must show some of that straight line speed.
Yeah, I'm really curious.
Slightly quicker on his delta time at the minute. He's 2/10 up on his previous lap time. That seemed a little wide. Not sure if that was an off track or not. Looking very fast. That was definitely an off track. Is he slowing it down? Yeah, he's slowed it down. He's going to teleport back to pit. We've got Hans Schlogel, who's a 10th up on his time now. He's currently... Oh, the same place. I was about to say, if he carries on, that's a purple for that sector. Now, Ungok doing the same thing. 8/10 up on his previous time. These guys are pushing like mad now.
So, where is Jasper Smelt? He set a purple sector and then he just...
Yeah, he still hasn't set a time. Ungok on track for a purple sector in sector 3, if he doesn't push it wide there, like everybody else. I'm not sure if that was an off track or not, but he's carrying on. 2 seconds up on his previous time. On track for a purple sector.
If he's 2 seconds faster than his last lap, he will go straight into pole position. But let's see how will he finish the lap. Nguyen now going through Rivazza, turns 17 and 18, and then on the last corner, well, it's not really a corner, it's more a king, but turn 19, through the line, where will Nguyen go? Is he in pole position? Is he going purple?
That was a 1:15.2, I believe. So that was his best lap time.
Got him in for the second. Currently provisional pole, and that's good. That's what you want to get, that time down. And start to get closer now, which is good what you want to see. You don't want to have too much of a spread, and that kind of show you in the race pace how they're going to perform.
Alex Aguirre is 3/10 up on his previous best. And being in pole position with that particular stat is quite a nice place to be. Currently 4/10 up.
And he gets a little bit of slipstream there,
does.
which will obviously help him. And now again, going through turns 17 and 18. Rivazza, last sector. Will he improve his lap and extend the gap?
He lost all his time in that last sector there. Just as you started talking about his corner there, he lost literally 8/10 in that last corner. So obviously something went wrong.
Mark Stevens still on the mediums, still trying to get a pole position on the second fastest tires, not on the fastest compound. So, but it doesn't look like it's working for him.
Yeah, this is crunch time right now. There's not much time left, so you're going to be out in your out laps. It looks like a lot of drivers are still sitting in the pit, so that's probably done and dusted for them now for their qualifying session. So
yeah, Mark Stevens, Mark Stevens, I think, has given up on this lap. He is a whole second down, probably cooling down a little bit. Oh, again, though, by the look of it.
Maybe he's just cooling his car.
Well, you also got to worry about your battery, remember? So you got the ERS, so you've got to charge it up. And if you burnt through all your energy recovery system, then you're not going to have that at your disposal to set a really fast-flying lap. Now, you can obviously, sure, you can disable it, no doubt, turn it off and let it charge back up.
Yeah, absolutely, and the entire thing is fully replicated in iRacing. All the controls you see on the real-life wheel is completely replicated. You know, diff controls, brake controls, all your energy controls and all that sort of thing, all in there.
Yeah, and I think I've mentioned this also some races ago. The realistic way that iRacing has done these cars is amazing. They also have that magic button that we all know Lewis Hamilton has pressed by mistake in Baku. So, yeah, it's just an amazing work done by the game. Radecki Gregors, 4 green sectors. So we should be keeping an eye on him. Will he improve his lap?
114.
Well, he does, but he says 4th.
0.8, yes.
And I think this is pretty much it. Because Alex Seguin is in the pit lane.
So waiting for Mark Stevens to cross the line. And then Lee Barmer as well needs to cross the line. Oh, Joe
I think Joe was on the out lap. Joe was on the out lap. I think he crossed the line in time. So this gives him another chance here.
Yeah, but he's at the yellow sector.
Mark Stevens into the pit. Knew he wasn't going to cross the line in time. Joe Taverner, I don't know if we noticed, he's in P2 now as well.
Yeah, 45 thousandths of a second. So this is where he's going to make it up. But yeah, two not personal bests or purple sectors, I think, at this point soon, unless he gets a nice big purple.
He's up on his lap time by 4/10 currently.
Well, you might as well commit to this right now.
Now going to Rivata. He will round out the lap. 3 yellow sectors, 1 green one. Can he improve and go pole position? It's another yellow sector. And I don't think... Oh, he does! He does in pole position. Joe Taberner, the English driver, on the last gasp, he gets pole position here at Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari.
Wow, you pronounced that one very perfectly. He got it right. He bred 30 thousandths of a second.
Incredible.
He's going to be pretty happy with that. That's what usually, last across the line usually gets the best times. And today, that's another example of that.
Oh boy, what a qualifying we've had.
Yeah, I just want you to read through the what is the track name again?
Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari.
That sounds like it just rolls off the tongue. And Italian's not your first language.
No, but a lot of people are saying that I sound Italian, and I remember first time that I commented, I think someone in the chat said that or asked if I'm Italian, and no, I'm not. I'm actually from Romania. Yeah,
you're Romanian, and we spoke about that before. But yeah, I think I even asked you when we commentated if you're Italiano. But there's the grid. If you'd like to go over that.
So the grid for round 6 of the anti-stall W12 Racing Series. Joe Taberner will start in pole position. Alex Seguin in second place. Second row will have Mark Stevens and Radecki Gregors in fourth place. Hannes Schlogel and Nguyen will start in the third row. Grabowski and Banks will start 7th and 8th for a full American row. Ovale and Rousselio 9th and 10th. And then we will have Leo Balmer and Elias Stromer in the 6th row.
Elias Stromer is safety car, just so we know.
Oh yeah, my mistake.
which means that row should be shifted back slightly, I believe.
So Hoffman will most probably start in 12th place, and Jasper Smelt will start last. He was super fast in qualifying, but he did not manage to put a lap time.
Yeah, but see how quick he can go through the field there. There's a lot of overtaking to do then. Perhaps he's trying to last the first challenge. Not impossible. Now just to go over this 50% race. So mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, we've seen, you were talking about Jarno Opmer, and we've seen him trying the last to first challenge in league racing a lot of times. Also, Mark Stevens, the driver who is starting third, has tried the same thing last week, and it worked perfectly for him. We might see again something like this. The lights have come on, and we're preparing for the start of the race. We have 5 legs ahead of the drivers, and away we go. That's a good start from Joe Taberner, but an even better one from Alex Eguia. Can he get a first place before Variante Tamburello? No, he can't. So the top 3 is the same. Mark Stevens is going side by side there with Ovale, I think that was, or Grabowski. No, that was Grabowski, and we're seeing a lot of cars going wide there. So that was Nguyen going on the grass, and there was another driver, I'm not really sure.
The blue car. That's all I could say. Yeah, taking evasive actions, obviously not to get into a collision. Still pretty tight at the start there. Looked like Alex wanted to try to make a run, but couldn't quite get it done. But he's going to be looking in his rearview mirrors right now because Mark Stevens was starting to catch up on him a little bit at the moment. Those 3 cars are starting to pull away from the pack a little bit too. But they're all, as you can see, still pointing in the right direction and still racing. Just a couple of switcheroos. I'm not quite sure. I'll be able to replay of any of that for us when we get a chance. Of any of those incidents in that their first lap, first couple of corners. Yeah.
We're having a 3-way battle for the win with Mark Stevens being on the slowest tire, and that shows up because he's losing time to Alex Eguia. He was very close, but I don't know if it's because of dirty air or because of the tires, but he has lost a little bit of time. And we're now seeing someone going side by side, and I think that's Jasper Smelt. We were just talking about him and his last to first challenge. He gets another place. He overtakes Troy Banks.
Yeah, and that's up to 7th. So from last place to 7th on lap 2 is pretty impressive, you'd have to say. Obviously representing of his pace, but he couldn't set that one in qualifying. As we can see, this nice little battle at the moment there between, I think, the bottom from 10, 11, 12. All the back markers, actually, currently. I'm saying back
from
markers
9 to 12, I believe.
Yeah.
So Nguyen wants to recover the places that he lost at the start there with going wide. I don't know if he was the driver that has gone out in turn 2 or 3, because we've seen a car going on the grass on the inside and another one going on the outside. And
well,
the
he's lost 5 positions, so I expect that he was one of the ones that went off.
Will he try now to gain the place back on Rivata? It's a very hard place to overtake, but he's going wide.
Oh.
He just gets the place. Very beautiful move from Nguyen, but Balmer has looked like he just backed out, and he's now going side by side. Roussel Yo gets a move done. He not overtakes only one car, he overtakes 2 cars, and he's up into 10th place.
Wow, what a move. He's been biding his time and got that 2-for-1 special here in Italy. That's got to be a nice feeling, as they were battling it out, and one little tiny mistake and he just said, straight through.
Yep, you can just see how effective. You can just see how effective Slipstream is here. Going from Rivazza to Variante Tamburello, it's such a long straight. Well, it's not really a straight, but anyways.
Yeah, there's a lot of turns here. There's just kinks.
Oh, Jasper getting a bit squirrely there. He nearly lost that.
He's going to be under a bit of pressure right now.
Oh, he's got... well avoided by Troy Banks there.
So Jasper shows the same thing that has showed in qualifying. He's super fast, but he's doing these small mistakes that are just ruining his chances to get a good result.
Oh, he's just got to do it over again, doesn't he? I mean, he climbed his way from the back, to get up to around that 7th position, and now he's going to have to do it all over again. But hey, he's got plenty of time.
Sorry, Biggles, but Alex Seguia is in first place. He overtook Joe Taberner. So we're seeing a lead change with the Spanish driver overtaking.
I can get a replay of that. That was turn 1.
Oh, that was a dummy on the outside, and then he just moved on the inside. That's a very interesting and beautiful move. It's reminding me of what Sebastian Vettel done in Barcelona in 2017 on Valtteri Bottas, but nonetheless a very good move from Alex Seguia, which puts him in the best place now to build a gap to Mark Stevens, who is on the medium tires and is on a different strategy. Joe Taberner looks like he's just going down. He got overtook by Alex Seguia, and now Mark Stevens is all over his gearbox.
Yeah, during that overtake, there was somebody coming out of the pit lane. I think that's Stefan. That's 3 laps down it's showing currently in the moment. So I think he was having some sort of issues. But he was out of the way, no doubt, not to get into that battle currently at the moment at the front there. DRS is now obviously enabled as we're on lap 4. And Mark is certainly looking pretty strong here at the moment. This is probably those tyres coming to play a little bit better right now. He's going to get the DRS, but then again, so will Joe. Could be a good opportunity for him to get a nice run here.
Yep, and we have seen again how important slipstream is here at Imola. Because Joe Taberner was about 8 tenths behind Alex Seguia, and it was just on his gearbox into turn 1. That's a small mistake by Joe Taberner, and Mark Stevens will try the long way around the outside. He cannot do the move. He sticks behind Joe Taberner, but he's very close, and Joe is feeling the pressure right now, isn't he?
I think so. But Mark made an error as well by going a little bit too deep into that corner, so he had an opportunity. But once again, you know, you're racing that car, and you tend to follow those cars as well, and that's what makes it difficult because you know you're basically using them kind of as a racing line. So when he does that, he's like, oops, he had to back off a little bit. You see both of them going really wide there. He hit that sausage curb, jumps up the car a little bit, and just puts a lot of lateral load on that right-hand side, and they can't get the power down as much as they like. But certainly at the moment, he's really keeping Joe honest, and he has to keep himself honest because he's also got Mr. Radical in P4, the Radster.
Oh, and he's going left to defend Joe Taberner, but there's no way to defend here at Imola. Oh. And Joe Taberner just backs out. They're very close there to a connect, but has job done from Mark Stevens. But this put Joe Taberner on the wrong foot as he's now being attacked by Radicki Gregors. I strongly hope that I have pronounced his name.
You got that right. I'm pretty sure you got it right. I just call him Radster. For me, get my nickname there with the Gregsters. Yes, it's close. And they are, well, not teammates, of course, but they're in the same livery. Just one of them's got that green on the back, and the other one has the purple. Massive accident! Wow.
So that was Rousselio and Grabowski, I think?
Go for a replay.
Yeah, we need to see a replay of that one. Absolutely. That's the beauty of iRacing. You get to see everything. Wow. Just going around there, and unfortunately nowhere else for some of the other drivers to go.
That was a big incident. If that would have been in real life, I think we would have had a red flag.
Oops, something happening here as well.
2 cars it was too that managed to get in that tangle, but this is a 3-way battle that we're watching here.
I'm not sure.
Oh, that's a tap, and that's sent him around.
Joe Taberner lost another place. He's battling.
Let's take a look at the replay of Radecki getting that overtake in the same place that Alex got it on him as well. Oh, pushed him a little bit wide there, but I think absolutely fair.
Elbows out.
I was just about to say that, isn't it? It's elbows out. That corner's going to be proven to be like that. Because it's an opportunity, difficult to overtake around here. So if that door's open anywhere, you've got to go for it. If gap car, as they say, the famous quote. And, well, a lot of cars with a lot of damage too that we've seen. So that'll spice things back up again. Jasper still P12. Hasn't been able to make too much of that. Obviously, he had to go into the pits to do some repair probably. I think. Did he make a pit stop? They seem to have.
There's been 5 cars so far that have made pit stops. And that's from P8 all the way down to P12 have all made pit stops.
Oh, so Stefan hasn't?
Guys, here we go again. And this time is job done from Gregor. He overtook Joe Taberner. So Joe Taberner has gone from the lead of the race to 4th place in about, 5 laps? Even less, maybe.
Yeah. You're right, because there's traffic coming up as well.
I don't
Some of these
believe
cars are being
Stefan
lapped.
has pitted. He's now just gaining his laps back from the guys that have obviously decided to leave the race.
So Mark is getting pretty close right now to the back of Alex. He's broken the DRS.
Oh, we've had a crash on my telemetry. Ungok has crashed out again. He's jumped pits. I'm just going to go quickly watch that.
That's a self. Is he going to spin it here? Hit the sausage.
it's the
Yeah. Too much sausage curb and couldn't turn the car in there because it probably wasn't even touching the road at that point. So your tyres aren't touching the road. Not much of your steering can do. So we are on lap. No, I'll tell you in a second because we're still looking at the replay screen. 9 of 31. Sorry, I can't read the Discord feed very well. It's all blurry.
Strange.
Not to the feed out there in the beautiful 4K resolution. No, it's not, of course, but it's 1080p.
1080 at 60 FPS, boys.
Yeah, it looks great on the stream.
Much better than Twitch was giving us.
Yep. I was trying to find you on Twitch before, actually. I was like, you're not the stream. And I was like, oh, that's right, you're on YouTube now. Cool. So you can see right now the top on that track map, the top 5 drivers, they're all pretty much bunched up there. You know, your gaps are pretty close. Blinking, you might miss it. And then you got a bit of a gap back down to Troy. And you got Lee there, so some of those drivers will be a bit lonely, as you see on the track map, but they can just get their head down. Some drivers prefer that, don't they? They're like, I'd rather just be out there racing to my own times and putting my head down rather than being stuck in traffic. It could be frustrating. And other drivers just love to have the traffic and race rather than be lonely out on the track. And I think Mark is just in and out of that bubble of the DRS, isn't he, of Alex? So he did manage to break it, now he's fallen out of it again.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting towards the end of the race because we're seeing 2 drivers going head-to-head for the win with 2 completely different strategies. And Mark Stevens he's looking like he's a fan of these alternative strategies because every time when the others are starting on softs, he's starting on mediums. And when everyone is starting on mediums, he's starting on softs.
We can currently see penalty points in our timing tower there. So they've been fairly clean so far. In iRacing, a 1x is an off-track. And then it's usually 2x for losing control of the car, which is like a spin or something like that. Then it's a 4x for collision with another vehicle. So those
3x.
well, that would have been a probably a spin and also an off-track.
Okay. And
How
4 or 5, I guess. 5 is a massive accident or something?
Well, it depends. He may have just got 5 off-tracks, individual off-tracks, or he may have hit someone and then got an off-track or something like that. They add up consecutively like that. I have to double check with race control what our instant limit is, but basically once those instant points hit a certain number... Oh, spin that by Joe Taberner.
Ooh. Joe Taberner! So we were just talking about him going from 1st to 4th, and when it rains, it pours, and this race has gone from bad to worse for Joe Taberner.
There's a bit of a gap, I think, down the road, so he might be able to, stay at that 5th position, but has dropped to 1.
Yeah, but
and
look
he's got to
like
be careful of his tires. Yeah.
look at him. He's going wide every time, and he just looked like he lost the concentration that he needs to in order to do a good race.
Yeah, and on top of it, his tires are most likely cooked, so he's not going to have that traction that he had before. He's going to have to just ease it off a little bit. I mean, you got to cool your tires down, don't you guys? I mean, sure, if you are familiar with driving these cars, no doubt.
Absolutely.
Although has to.
I personally believe it's easier to keep your tyres within a good operating window in iRacing than it is in the F1 games. That's my personal opinion, but no, I certainly do feel as if it's that way.
Some of the drivers are running out onto that grass and even onto the dirt a little bit, and you get that on the tyre, and that's going to give you no traction. For at least a lap or so, right? I'd imagine until it starts to wear off.
Yeah, it's a little bit slippy as soon as you hit the track again, but you know, as soon as those tyres are spinning, they tend to throw all that stuff off it, so it doesn't take too long.
But it doesn't stick to it like the marbles and all that, because the tyres obviously.
Marbling,
it
does reduce traction on certain parts of the track. I know that iRacing does have that implemented. It doesn't appear that we're getting many marbles on this particular track, because iRacing does draw them in graphically as well. Typically it's the oval races where you get all those ridiculous amount of marbles that really do affect your traction.
I love it, yeah. That's a lot of modelling, isn't it? Little tiny bits of rubber that you have to start adding in. It starts to fly off the car and then add it onto the side of the track. That's a lot of programming. And that's why you get your money's worth for iRacing, because it has all those little tiny bits of details. You don't need your $5 million or £5 million simulator that the Formula 1 teams and the racing teams would have back in their headquarters. Just get iRacing with all the tools, and you got everything you need.
Talking about sims and the real Formula 1, if I'm not wrong, Formula 1 has actually used Assetto Corsa for the presentation of the game of the 2022 cars, as Alex Equia was going wide, and this gives Mark Stevens the first place for free.
And I think we're just going to take a replay of that one because that happened incredibly fast.
So the race looked like he was very calm. Now Alex Equia, with this mistake, remakes the race interesting. And well, I think I've said this with Joe Taberner. I'm saying this with Alex Equia, and he's speeding. This is what I just wanted to say. This is the moment. After you do a mistake, you need to box that lap.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly a perfect call. To get that done, just regroup yourself, get back out there, because you know they all have to make those pit stops that are mandatory. So get that one over and done with right now. Get your head down, get some nice laps in, start setting some purple, some fastest laps.
And he has gone to the mediums. Gone to the mediums, I think. Yeah, okay, so the glitch is still there on stream there. It says he's still on softs. iRacing was meant to fix that in this week's patch notes, but obviously there's an issue there. But no, he's definitely now on the mediums, my telemetry is telling me. And he started a chain of people pitting. Hans Schlogel and Troy Banks behind him have also now pitted, going from softs to mediums. Lee Barmer getting to P6, overtaking Troy, who is in the pits. So now we're just waiting for the top three and Lee Barmer to pit. Obviously, they have to pit. They have to use at least 2 different tyre compounds for the race, otherwise they do get disqualified.
Yeah, and I think that there was a race. I don't know if that was Austria or was that Spa. Anyways, there was a driver that haven't pitted, and that was pretty controversial. I know. I remember reading that in the chat post race.
Yeah, that would be black flag or something, wouldn't it? Maybe if they didn't box. As we're on board with Steve Grabowski there, showing 6 laps down. I don't understand that.
That lap 6, that's what lap they have pitted on.
Oh, okay. All right, fantastic. So yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
So,
just
yeah,
putting
just
that
the-
there so everybody can see
the
who
fall.
has pitted and who hasn't.
No, no, Alex Seguia is on fresh tires. We should be keeping an eye on the lap times that he's doing, because if he recovers enough time, he might just go back in the lead. But it's hard because we all know from last week how fast Mark Stevens is on the medium tires on long runs.
Yeah, let's have a look at his time. 16s at the moment, but probably hasn't updated just yet from that pit stop. And there's Raddy. The old Radster's in the pit lane entrance, so he's taking that right now. So keep an eye on where Alex is on that track map.
Just passing start finish.
Yeah.
So Joe Taberner and Radecki both in the pits. Alex going straight back up to P2. So he timed that pit stop really nicely. Now he had a really terrible lap which lost him P1, and I think pitting straight after it was the best call.
And then just gets the fastest lap right now. So he's responded. Absolutely responded. He's putting these laps down right now. I think he took it easy on the pit out lap because, as you know, remember what you'd mentioned before too, you know, when you first use those tires, those fresh boots, that, you know, you don't punish them too quickly. Kind of build them up, don't you?
Just a bit of telemetry here for you. So on average, an entire pit stop, which means going down the pit lane, pitting, and then coming out of the pit box, is taking between 29 to 30 seconds.
I was about to say, it's 30. Sorry, go ahead.
Alex is just behind Mark Stevens with a 26 seconds gap, meaning he can get P1 back when Mark pits if Mark doesn't make that gap any bigger. Which he currently is.
And Mark's got to... Well, Mark's, yeah, you got to do that, and you got to think about this. Now, Mark's got to go, okay, well, you know, if I have to make that time back up, sure, I'm going to have some fresh boots, but you've also got to allow yourself enough time now. We're at lap 17 of 31, so we're just over the halfway point. Certainly going to have enough time, but, you know, it's one thing to catch a car, it's also another thing to overtake. You saw that before, that they were really even Stevens on pace, weren't they, following each other around, and the only time we're really seeing overtakes is that elbows out corner, we like to call, which I can't remember because I don't know what is. I think that's turn 11 and 12. And also or if you make a mistake.
Car 48 just had an issue, I think. Steve Grabowski gonna take a look at it.
I was going to tell you that I was going to tell you how long the pit stop was, 30, because I know from Formula One.
Ooh.
And there is the Americano.
Lost his
Into the
rear wing
fence.
and front wing. That's impressive.
The battle,
Slap a new one on there, a bit of duct tape. Go ahead.
the battle between Mark Stevens and Alex Seguia has another important factor in it, because they are also battling for the championship. There obviously are 27 points, but if Mark Stevens keeps winning, that gap will go down as soon as possible. And obviously Alex Seguia doesn't want to lose any more points.
I mean, the question is, when is Mark going to pit? I would have expected him to do so by now. You know, a lap 18 of 31, so we're past the halfway point. Though he is on the mediums. So, and our other medium runner, just behind there, Lee Barmer, also hasn't pitted yet. Johan Roussel, really bizarre strategy, gone from mediums to hards on lap 11. Which is very bizarre, considering realistically you can actually make this entire race on a set of mediums.
Yeah, hard tires. Sorry, go ahead.
You've said, why is Mark not pitting? Well, I don't see the point of him doing this, because he's not losing that much time, and considering the fact that he will have the softs, if he can stretch these mediums without losing so much time for, I don't know, 4 or 5 laps, then he will be absolutely flying.
That's very, very true. But at the same time, I think, you know, if I'm doing my maths right, then Alex will come out 4 seconds ahead of Mark if he was to pit right now. And the later that Mark pushes that into the race, then the more risk that he won't be able to get that overtake done again before the end of the race.
Yeah,
Joe
it's
Taberner is
time,
out.
isn't it?
Something happened to Joe Taberner.
Let's take a look. I think I've got a big red mark on my telemetry here. Yeah, let's go take a look at Joe Taberner. He's had a bit of a crash.
It's a medical car, I'd say, if he's out completely. Where is it? Let's have a look.
Same place.
Oh,
Oh, that's a
yeah.
big shunt. A big shunt.
Once again, straight over those sleeping policemen and no traction. Can't turn the car.
It's also the lack of concentration, I feel like, because when you see yourself leading the race and then 10 laps later you are down in 5th place, about 40 seconds behind the leader, you obviously you are angry, and this just proves what I'm trying to say.
Maybe he was checking his Twitter messages from his fans or something and got distracted. Well, now the pit stop. So, Mark, I would say about now you've got to do it probably on this lap, because then that's then going to allow you 11 laps to get on with the fresh
Yeah, he
boots.
is slowly losing time now as well. He's gone down to nearly 25 seconds flat.
Biggles, we might have split strategies again in our minds, because we remember last week we were like Toto Wolff and Christian Horner. Well, this time I'm personally, if I would be in Mark Stevens' boots, I would go to around lap 26, because if he would pit for softs in those 5 laps, he would be absolutely flying here on Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari.
I just want to point out he's lost more than a second to Alex in this previous lap. So I think, in my opinion, he's missed the most opportune window to do it. But obviously,
Now, to recall
he's
last
still got a
week,
chance.
yeah. To recall last week, who won the engineer off there between yourself
I think,
and me?
I think that was me, but
Yeah, it was you actually. So, yeah,
Oh, so that was the
I
test,
remember.
Biggles.
Yeah.
so that was the test.
Oh, you could get 2 for 2 here today. Well, I mean, that's okay. Now I'm going to realistically start to put my money down on this one. Obviously, it's virtual money as well, because it's virtual sports. Whether he can get it done, I say with 10 laps to go, yes. Yes, with 10. I'd say if with 9, if you get under 9, I'd say no. There you go. So I'll lock that one in. And you can agree or disagree with me, and you can go the alternative strategy and say you could still do it with 9 to go.
That's Baines going wide. So Dirtier looks like he's playing a big role in his bell. Coming back to what you were saying, Biggles, I'm not really sure.
I think he's lost it from now. I think that last lap was the last lap he could have done it with pure efficiency, because he's now losing seconds every single lap. You know, my telemetry is stating that they've got 22 seconds. Alex has got 22 seconds now to mark. The on-stream telemetry is stating 23.8.
Okay.
There's a bit of variation there, but I do trust my on-screen local telemetry a bit more than the stream.
And that'll be an 8 or so second gap that he has to make up. That's pending, obviously, the pit stop is going to be around that 30 seconds on average. We don't know if I don't think he's going to take any fuel in or anything like that, obviously, so that shouldn't be a problem. What's the current times? Is there any way to look at what
Absolutely
the fastest lap times are real quick there as well?
So you've got best times in the first column and the last lap times in the second column.
Okay, so I was just kind of getting an idea right now that if he's going to come out there, he's going to have... I'm just waiting for it to come up there on the stream so I can see
Gerard.
that. Here it is.
Gerard, I think that was
15s. Sorry?
Was that 2 seconds lower from Mark Stevens?
It was.
Or 3?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Now
He's got a box.
Now I'm on the same page as you guys.
Okay.
And he is,
All right.
he is
Strategy. So I'm
shedding
going to say, let's have a look at this. So Alex is doing 116.6s. Mark's going to come out, and I'd expect him to go into, what's the fastest lap? 15 point something? It's really hard to see.
15.8.
So I'd expect him to do 15 and a halves at least, because remember, also less fuel. So the car's going to be lighter and should go faster on the fresh softs. So yeah, he's got he's has to do really low 15s for because say Alex is going to continue to do around even late 16s. They do low 15s to shave like a second and a second and a half. Well, we're about to find out because he's got a box. So a second and a half lap is what Mark would have to do, right, to win this race. To catch up at least, then you still have to overtake.
Very quick in the box.
That was 3.9 seconds. That was 1/10 slower than Alex, who just took the lead. And we'll see how far ahead he's going to manage to get it. I think it's probably going to be about 7 seconds.
Mark lost the place. Mark lost the place to was that Gregor's? Yeah, that's Gregor's. Oh, that's gonna play a big role because not only that Mark will have to recover the gap to Alex, now he also needs to overtake an opponent which is between him and Alex Guya.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. If we can go on board with Mark, actually, I'd like to see him from his T-cam have a look at how he's going to be catching anytime soon. You're going to see that he's going to be in that DRS. He's going to be mighty fast. Now, obviously, it's up to the Radster here if he can try to hold him up as much as possible. But the Rad wants to he wants that second place. He doesn't want to give it up. But he knows that Mark's going to have the quicker tyre here. And this is definitely going to punish Mark. It is showing Mark, obviously, on those medium stripe tyres, but he's on the softs. And his time's going to be pretty quick here soon, Matt. Look at this. He might even have this man before the corner.
And Gregor's just backed out there. So
all right. So Mark's probably even got a little bit of a DR.
He go wide. He's going to leave it wide. They'll leave it wide again. And Gregor's now will be on the slipstream. He will also have DRS. Mark Stevens is going right there to defend on the right line. But Grabowski will go also right and round the outside. Steve Grabowski gets back the second place. No, he doesn't. Beautiful defending by Mark Stevens, but that was mainly due to the fact that he's on fresh, soft tires. So now 5.8 seconds, 7 laps to go. Biggles, Jared, will he be able to make it?
Well, he's still losing time right now, according to my telemetry. So I think we're going to have to see him do a couple of laps to see if it's going to be possible at all.
He was on his out lap there before it came up, obviously, from the pits, so you can't get a quick judgment yet. But I'd expect a purple to flash up. I expect a fastest lap on this because he's got the clear air now. So he's obviously cleared that driver and just can get on with this because he wants to chase that man down. He wants to chase Alex and build up a little bit more of his championship points. And he's going to push it like crazy. You can see him harvesting energy as well, too, with the light flashing on the back of the car. So giving it absolutely everything he got. He needs to put in basically just nothing but qualifying laps.
But the gap's going down fast. 4.7. Before Rivazza, the gap was 5.7. So only in the last section of corners, he recovered 1 second.
Let's see what his lap time was on that one. If it comes up there in a second, 16.4. It's not enough. I think you got to do a little bit more than that. Got to be doing at least, I thought 15s with the fresh tires. So he's still making mistakes.
He needed to overtake Steve.
Yeah.
No, not Steve. Actually, Radich.
Oh, but that was a lap before. He had a clear lap really. After that, that last lap was a full by himself. Get on with it.
Yeah, we will see. We will see. But the gap is still going down. 4.3, I think it is. That's not enough. If he recovers less than a second per lap, that's not enough. He needs to recover about 1 second per lap to also have some time to prepare and to actually execute the overtake.
Approximately 8/10 at the minute.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but it's going to be spicy for sure.
8/10. 8/10. So he will recover. He will catch Alex in 6 laps. That would be around lap 31, about last lap. I don't think that's enough.
Yeah, this is why I probably should have boxed a little bit earlier that we're debating. I want to, obviously, if we do speak to Mark at the end of the race, if he's going to also confirm that with us.
But Alex also setting fairly quick laps there as well. 16.8 versus a 16.1.
It's not enough. It's 7/10, but it's not enough. We don't know. I mean, he's getting it down, but it's possible. This is not a rerun from last week because we were seeing this last week as well.
There was a car off there. I don't know who it was.
That was Lee Barmer went off track.
Down to threat 3.8, 3.6 or something like that and change. So you just got to consistently do this. But at this point right now, you cannot afford to make any mistakes. Either driver, of course. Alex is once again, he's got, because he's in the lead of this race, he can also control the pace a little bit. So he can, all right, he knows he's losing a little bit of time. So he could probably back off a little bit where he feels it's a little safer for him. Perhaps like take it a little bit easier on the tires.
That was a mistake. That was a mistake because from Alex Seguia. You were talking about Alex Seguia controlling. He has not controlled the car very well there in Rivazza. He was wide, and now Mark Stevens is absolutely on his gearbox, and with fresh, soft tires, he will probably just fly past Alex Seguia. He's on the outside, they're going very close. They almost collided there, and now going through turn 4 on Variante Tamburello, up the slipstream, through Variante, Villeneuve on his side, they are still going side by side, very close, and on the outside of turn 6 is the move done. From from Mark Stevens, he will have the inside, and that's it.
Oh, not quite yet. There's going to be a little bit of a switcheroo come back, but she obviously got the tire, so she'll be able to break a little bit later. But no, Alex is not going to just he'll make it that easy. But I was going to say, that's very risky, wasn't it? Because he's got time on his side now because of that mistake from Alex. I didn't think you would need to go elbows out through those corners because anything could have gone wrong.
Alex is gone.
And there's
Alex is gone.
that's Alex. Mark's, sorry, Alex has gone around. Yes, right. You'll have a replay of that, no doubt. But he's probably tried to match Mark's pace coming out of the corner. But unfortunately, his tyres just aren't up to that same standard. There it is. He was trying to keep with the pace and just the rear end let go.
And we're going to take a replay of that mistake that lost him P1 as well. It's right here.
Oh, he was lucky to not hit the wall, and that was an incredible save.
Isn't that the second time today? That corner he was in the dirt, wasn't it? Earlier.
Yeah, it is.
So he's struggling with that corner again. I'm sure he'd be frustrated right now in that cockpit, but get his head down. So he's lost. He's still on a podium, but he's lost that P2. But maybe he can try to get that P2 back. I'm not quite sure. The time delta there, as I'm still seeing the replay.
Radecki is recovered.
Oh, it's 8 seconds.
Yeah, Radecki appears to be gaining on Mark now as well, which is curious.
Well, if Gregor's win and he will not take part in the post-race interview, I will be pissed.
Gregor's. Well, yeah, he's down to 1.7, so I don't know. But Mark, do you think? But that's because Mark was fighting in that previous lap, so that might have cost him a little bit of time, and that's what obviously has cost that time to Radek. We'll see. And we see at this level, once again, shall I start talking about a driver making a little bit of a mistake and then all of a sudden they do? So that seems to be what's happening. Remember, this is very, very difficult. This is a racing simulator. Throwing a Formula One car, the fastest, the pinnacle of motorsports, around a track like this is tricky and had been doing this, obviously, for 28 laps right now. Utter concentration levels. No doubt they're sweating, getting sweaty. And I even heard from a driver the other day as well, too, in another league, was saying that his toe cramped up big time. Like had massive cramp in your foot. And it's not, some other drivers have said that before too in the past. You know, you're sitting in your racing rig if you have one, and you know you're pushing the brake pedals down if you have a heavy brake pedal to simulate as much as possible, and then your foot cramps up. That's painful. It happens to real drivers, of course, too as well. And so you got to try to put up that pain for a few laps. Gets difficult. Or if your wife or girlfriend is screaming at you to get off the computer and come and hang out with her or something like that could also happen. Take out the trash.
Because your voice has sounded like you were talking from your personal experience.
No, because I haven't. Yeah, no, I no, unbelievable. It does happen. I remember actually one time I was in the F1. That it was actually during a endurance race with ACC that it was dinner time or something, and his mother went up and just unplugged the computer. It was mid race.
Oh,
in like in a 24-hour race too. So he was not a happy camper because But I'm like, I'm pretty sure they would have scheduled the dinner time thing out, but I maybe didn't communicate obviously to your parents and stuff like that. Otherwise, they'll pull a plug, and that's game over. And at the moment, it could be game over, I think, for anybody else changing positions. And Mark, has done a lot earlier, didn't we? Well, it would have been really good to see them battle it out, I think, right towards the end. But that's because Alex made a mistake, and Mark will capitalize that any day of the week.
Yeah, guys, you were talking about how tiring these virtual races are. And I remember Jenson Button, when he took part in the first edition of the virtual 24 hours of Le Mans, he has said that staying 2 hours in your rig racing at maximum pace, it's actually harder than racing 2 hours in a real car, because the mental tiring that you get from a virtual race is much bigger than the actual physical tiredness that you get from a real race.
I would think it's likely because of the risk of death in real racing, probably keeps you awake.
Yeah, the adrenaline pumping through your body obviously would be a lot
Absolutely.
more. That screen is a lot harder to read, obviously, because your eyes have to do a lot more work with the refresh rate and all that sort of stuff. Whereas in the real world, you know, your eyes are much more naturally to do it, and of course he's used to that as well too. But physically, of course, that's the punishment in a real F1 car. Yeah, if you guys have all been karting before, I'm sure you have. We all have. You go to fast karts and you do a good 30-minute stint on fast karts, and that hurts. Last lap.
Yes,
Yep,
this
the
is
white
last
flag
lap.
is flying.
And we were talking about the championship. This win that Mark Stevens will take is going to make an impact on the driver standings, because the gap that was originally at the start of the race 27 points, now it will go down to only 17 points. So Mark Stevens almost cuts the gap to half of it. And the Dutch driver, we might call him the Flying Dutchman. Obviously, that's the nickname of Max Verstappen, but he is flying in this league. Only 17 points away from the lead of the championship. With him missing the first 3 races, Mark Stevens will now round the turn 19, the last corner of the race, and he will win here the 6th race of the season at Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari. Congratulations to Mark Stevens. Radecki Gregors is second, and that was the fastest lap. That was the
catching
fastest lap.
towards the end as well. I think it was almost breaking the DRS, but fantastic. So, right, you're going to get to hear from that driver and see if you get his name correctly. And
Schlegel will finish 4th. This driver and his race pretty much has gone under the radar. He 4th place is a very good result, but we really haven't seen him that much. Rossellio will also finish 5th. He has been involved in, I think, 2 incidents this race, and him finishing 5th. This is also a good result. Troy Banks will be the star of the United States of America, as he will finish in 6th place. Grabowski, the other American, I think he's retired. Yep, so Grabowski will not finish the race. He has retired. Troy Banks now crosses the line, and this has been it for the race here at Imola. We're now seeing the results from this race. As I've mentioned, Mark Stevens' 2nd win of the season. Gregor finished 2nd. Alex Eguad, the Spanish driver, in 3rd place. The 2 mistakes really have played a big part in this result. Schlegel in 4th place. Rossellio 5th. Troy Banks in 6th place. Lynn Balmer in 7th place. Hoffman 8th. And after Hoffman, I think everyone has retired. Yes, Joe Taberner has retired.
yeah, Jasper, who we saw, has also retired. But it would have been interesting because Jasper making that the first challenge, because it looked like he had the pace to be up there with the likes of Mark and stuff. But unfortunately, just probably decided it wasn't his day after making his way up to P7 and then having a spin, going all the way around, dropping back. A safety car driver finished last place, yes.
I personally, I feel
Can I be a
bad.
safety car driver?
If you really wanted to be, you could put some laps in.
Well, we didn't need one today.
Okay, so just trying to get some guys in for interviews. We do have Mark Stevens here right away. Somewhere. In a chat a moment ago.
Please find Gregor.
There we go. Okay. I'm just going to drag these guys down to us. We've got Alex and Mark. I have tagged Decky as well, but I'm not sure if he'll reply.
The red stuff. Red stuff. Alex and Mark. Well, congratulations to both of you, obviously, for getting a podium today. Who would like to go first for the interview?
I don't mind being first. at least for once.
All right, that's Alex talking. All right, Alex, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, it was a pretty fun race. I think I've managed the strategy better than in Barcelona, and maybe I should have won. Maybe in the last lap, Mark would have been close to me with soft tires at the end. But I don't know what happened. I braked with the same pressure in the same spot that every lap before, and I locked the tires and went almost to the barrier. Lost all the difference, and then I had a spun because I was pushing hard to be behind Mark.
Yeah, I
But at
figured
least I
that
got a P3.
at that corner, because he had the fresh tire. But that was the second time I think you lost it on that corner, if I'm not mistaken. Well,
Well, I think I had a mistake at Piratella, the long
Okay.
left corner. I got like onto the curve and I couldn't turn. It happened to me, I think, in quali and in practice before. That was normal because I experienced that before. But looking up on the second to last corner, it was new for me and it was a bit of a shock.
Interesting. And if that mistake didn't occur, and Marco still had to catch you, do you think you would have been able to hold off Mark and get the win?
Yeah, I think so because I wasn't deploying the battery. It was on balanced mode, and it was like 4/6 a lap, and I think it would have been enough, but we'll never know.
Yeah, we were debating up here in the commentary box actually, try to see like a Christian Horner and Toto Wolff like and mixed alternative strategies to see whether or not, which we'll ask, of course, Mark in a second, whether or not he should have boxed earlier, perhaps, if you allow him enough time to try to get past you.
I think
yeah.
both tires were pretty close in terms of lap times. I don't know if a couple of laps will have been made a difference, but anyway, I'm seeing the spin now on my.
You didn't allow him the opportunity to because by going off there, but you still got a podium, which
Yeah,
at the end of the day
that's
could have
great
been a lot
news.
worse. So yeah, I
news.
mean, it was good for just sticking with it and
Alex-
coming back. But
Alex, I also have a question for you. I actually have two questions. The first one is about the battle that you've had with Mark. Obviously, Mark is also here and he will hear anything you will say. What was going through your mind? Because that was elbows out, head to head, amazing racing between you two. So, what was going through your mind in those moments?
In those moments, I don't know. I was a bit hard with the incident with the brakes, but and now the only thing I can think is that it was it only went for half a lap, and hopefully we will have battle till the end. But also P3 will have been very close. So I don't know. It was fun. I miss those battles in races sometimes.
Yes, and the last question that we have for you, Alex, the gap, you are still in the lead of the Drivers' Championship, but a gap between you and Mark is down to 17 points. So I actually have two questions from this. How are you feeling about the championship? And also, is there anything that you would like to say to Mark because he's your championship rival and he's also in this call?
Well, the feeling is the same. Doing my best every race. I know that Mark is very fast driver, and I don't know if I'm going to change anything. And to Mark, like I would say that keep that level, and hopefully we have longer fights on track.
Thank you very much, Alex. Now,
Thank you.
Mark, after you.
Hey guys.
Congratulations for your win. Talk us through this race.
It was a really messy race for me. Made quite a lot of mistakes. Didn't go as planned, but yeah, I still got the win. Shame from the spin from Alex. Was a really nice fight. We kept it clean. Maybe a bit too aggressive from me in turn one. I should have backed out a bit sooner, but couldn't see him. So we touched a little bit, but luckily no incident. And after that, yeah, it was just managing the tires. I think I blew up my tires a bit with that fight. So it would have been interesting if he surely got DRS on the straight if he didn't cut that incident. So yeah, P3 would have catch us. So it would have been a really fun battle. It was a fun battle, even, but if he didn't spin it, it could have it could have been interesting till the end.
Yeah, it could have been a three-way battle towards the end as well. Once again,
Yeah,
if,
because
Ratty.
number 3 was really fast. He was catching me till the end, every lap at 10th, I think. So I had to push the whole race. Made a mistake in the chicane, lost 2.5 seconds there because I almost spun just before my pit, the lap before. Otherwise, I would become second when I came out of the pit, but I had to battle him because I made that spin.
Interesting towards. Yeah, go ahead, Ed.
No, I just wanted to mention the fact that I laughed because Mark has tried everything to avoid the name of the driver that he has with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't read it, but I will try. One moment. Where is General? Let's see.
Radecki, yeah.
Yeah, no, he messaged me a moment ago. Sorry, guys. He unfortunately can't make the interview because he is looking after his sick hamster.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well, yeah. Oh, best good luck, best to you. He's hamster out there if he's listening, and you're gonna have to let us know at one point who's actually been able to pronounce your name correctly. Well, before we can come back to that, Mark. We were trying to be debating because I think you were needing about a second a lap to catch Alex, and you weren't quite putting that in with those fresh softs on as well. I think didn't even get down to the 15s. What was that? Was that something that was going through your mind? Just like, was that what your target was in order to have enough time to catch him and then overtake?
I didn't have a target in mind because I was really struggling on the new sauce. I don't know why. It was such a massive difference from the worn out yellows. I don't know why. I made so many mistakes. Also fighting Radecki out of the pits. I made so many mistakes today. It was really tough. Really easy to get access here, incident points. So I had to manage those too. Not the best race for me, but still a win, so it's okay, but not quite satisfied with myself.
Well, yep. Well, that's good that you had improvement. It seems to me like you do better on more used tires. Like obviously you set a fantastic qualifying performance on those mediums.
Yeah, I didn't try red. So when I came out of the pit, it was the first time I drove on red on those softs, and everything felt different. It was a strange feeling. I don't know. I also have a new wheelbase, so it's a bit learning for me now. So it was still a fun race, but I made too many mistakes. Wasn't quite good.
Okay, the learning curve then. Yeah, obviously. So learn soft tires a little bit more. Obviously, it's a strategy that's going to be down in your garage, and obviously you get used to your rig as well. So, Alex, you might have to be looking in your mirrors a little bit, because if Mark keeps this up, you might have somebody contending, battling it out there for the Drivers' Championship. But anyway, that's it from me. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you. Yeah, Alex, fun race. Fun battle. It was clean, and I hope we can fight again.
Yeah, hopefully. Sorry.
Yeah,
Alright,
thank
Ed?
you, Mark,
Ed?
and also thank you, Alex. Super race from both of you. And Jared, I think this was it for our stream here from Imola.
All right, guys. Thank you for the host, and till next week.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark. That does look like we're coming to the conclusion of this absolutely fantastic race. It's been an interesting one, a bit different than usual. Not as much action on track, but definitely action on the timesheet, which gets you thinking and always gets all the quick maths out as well. So, yeah, I did enjoy this one. Really, really enjoyable race. And as always, if you want to come join us, you can come join the Discord, which is in our description on our channel. And you can come join these races. They are free to join. You just need an iRacing subscription and also content in iRacing race. Other than that, our next race will be Monday, as our rookie series is currently finished, but a really fabulous GT3 series is currently in the works. Announced very, very shortly. I want to thank Biggles and Ed. Thank you very much, as always, for joining me here.
Thank you for hosting, Gerard.
Thank you for that magic work. No problem.
And if there's nothing else, I want to thank all of our audience and back time.